Right now, we're in the African savannah on a beautiful, sunny summer morning, where we're witnessing a young Amazon PPC campaign in its natural habitat. This juvenile campaign is just 2 weeks old, newly birthed from Cella Central.
You can tell this campaign has so much natural instinct with its fresh new auto-targeting ad groups. Watch closely. You can see already it's learning how to stand and grow, reporting on clicks, conversions, and ACOS.
While it seems like this young campaign is healthy and strong, in its youth, it's extremely vulnerable and unprotected from lurking predators.
Michael, look! On the horizon, a herd of fierce, irrelevant search queries are approaching.
Yes, Stephen. While these queries are dangerous, they don't attack like a lion or a jaguar. Instead, they are parasitic, slowly debilitating an Amazon campaign by draining its ad spend budget to death with low conversion rates.
This poor young campaign, defenseless and completely unaware of the encroaching danger.
Oh no! The predators have descended upon the campaign. And look, here comes, galloping in the distance, a search term with 75 clicks and no conversions. This is surely the end of this young campaign.
Aha! What's this? Suddenly appearing out of the brush. It's a fully grown ad badger charging in. He's coming to save the campaign.
And completely upgrading the campaign with new bid optimizations.
Michael, the ad badger is completely pulverizing the vicious, unprofitable search terms.
The ad badger has proven himself victorious once again, and he will go on to fight and defend more Amazon campaigns here in the savannah for many years to come. What's going on, Badger Nation? It's Mike and Steven from Ad Badger, and you are listening to the AMZ PPC Den podcast, the world's first Amazon PPC advertising podcast and your source for all the tips, tricks, and optimization strategies you need to get the most from your Amazon ads.
And you guys can find all of our episodes, show notes, and links at adbadger.com/podcast or wherever you get your podcasts. What's going on, guys? It is Steven here. I wanted to record a quick little episode just talking to you guys about a topic that I don't think we've actually ever touched on. We talk a lot about data, about, being results-oriented, data-oriented, and not, taking the guesswork out of optimization. But if I'm being completely honest, there are times when I make optimizations or bid changes based on a hunch that I have, or maybe better yet, my instinct that I'll use sometimes instead of data. So I've heard this question from some other people who have made similar decisions, and I wanted to talk a little bit about why or when I feel like making these changes based on a hunch or your gut instinct can be an okay thing to do. But before we jump into that, I want to first of all talk about when this is a bad thing to do. So first of all, when is it a bad idea to try to operate off of a hunch that you may have? Well, if you recall from a number of episodes back, we talked about different types of personalities of people who optimize and manage their bids. And a couple of those people those personalities that we created, one we called Guessing Gary, and the other person we called Wild Willie. So Guessing Gary is someone who they pull their keywords or they pull their bids out of thin air. No data that is informing their decisions at all. They're basically just acting like a magician, pulling these out of a hat, these keywords, these bids, and running with it. That is not what we're talking about when we're talking about making these instinctual optimizations. Another personality that really kind of goes against everything that we try to teach just as a content creator and in our online academies is trying to avoid being a wild willy. A wild willy is someone who reacts pretty crazily to data in their account. So if they see that ACOS is really high on a keyword, they will just pause or archive the campaign altogether and just make these really big rash decisions without really giving time to make a bit of a more seamless transition into hopefully optimizing these keywords to get them back to a place where we are profitable and we are satisfied with the results, but without making these quick, drastic changes that can sometimes leave you worse off than you were before. Another time when you don't really want to, be operating in this way is you need to understand first and foremost, before you ever try operating on a hunch, that data-oriented optimizations will always be safer and will almost always be the better decisions. So you definitely want to lean on data as much as you can, make those decisions, and never stray away from this. So now let's talk a little bit about when I think it is okay to operate off of a hunch. Now, there will be times when you have knowledge outside of your PPC data that is informing your decisions. So when we start talking about making these bidding decisions where, we normally talk about going off of revenue per click times target ACoS, but there may be times when you realize something that's not appearing in the data. Maybe you know about the seasonality or the fluctuations that are coming up in the market. You're anticipating that. Or maybe you just know the market itself. You know your consumers, you know exactly what they want, or you know something about maybe you're anticipating bigger demand that's not really there in the data, because data is always backwards looking. So maybe you're looking forwards, and if you are going through seasonality, of course you can look at previous years, previous seasons, and see how it performed then. But you may know that, now your product's better. Now you have better reviews, more variations than you did the last time around. You've seen these products sell out multiple times since then. So if you know the market demand is changing, if you've been climbing in bestsellers rank, that can inform your decisions. That kind of knowledge can teach you something and give you better ideas about maybe how aggressive you should be with your bidding that the PPC data isn't showing you. Something else is you want to know your competition. So there may be times when you see your competition making moves. You see them being more aggressive for top of search. You see them being more aggressive on attacking your brand and bidding on your keywords. So knowing your competition can also help you to make decisions about maybe what your bid should be, what keywords you should be targeting, whether or not those things are really even maybe there's a keyword that's not profitable, but your competition that if they win that spot, it's going to be game over because they will be able to hold that position, and you're being willing, maybe you're willing to lose a little bit of money on the short term in order to potentially win an Amazon's Choice badge or climb in bestsellers rank that will help the product overall grow much faster. Another decision that will often influence your hunch is your inventory levels. If you're managing your supply, if we're going through a coronavirus season, so you're kind of forecasting into the future of what your supply is going to look like, what your operating costs are going to be, and so you're going to be making these decisions that aren't necessarily there in the PPC data, but you do have an idea of what you're seeing outside of the PPC data, and that's going to allow you to have a much better idea of how you can be optimizing your campaigns in the meantime. Another thing that I would highly recommend for anybody who's never actually operated off of their own instinct before is that you need to understand that your instinctual optimizations should start off as being very small. So something else that I'll do sometimes is I'm looking through an account, I'm looking at keyword bids, I'm seeing the ACoS, I'm seeing the current cost per clicks, and I have a good idea of the overall campaign goals. I'm looking at the keyword itself, and I'm being a little bit more intuitive with how much this keyword is worth based on just a wider knowledge than just what I'm seeing attached to this one keyword, because I'm seeing this keyword in other campaigns, I'm seeing this for other products, I know the search frequency rank of this keyword. So I'm making the bids on this keyword, I'm adjusting them based on the looking at the ACoS, but I'm using a little bit more intuition and really strategy in making these keyword changes. But I do want to make those keyword changes on a small level and make sure that I'm right about the decisions I'm about to make. Since I'm talking about the seasonality, the market demand, the competition, all of that stuff is influencing my decision. So I want to start off with small optimizations, and if I realize that my instinct was correct, then I can increase my position on these optimizations and start, making them happen over a bigger part of the campaign itself. So you never want to just rush in and just be a guessing Gary or a wild Willy. You definitely want to be PPC data oriented. Remember that data orientation and data-based optimizations is always going to be safer and usually the better decision for your campaigns. But it is worth mentioning that there will be times when you can have a good enough intuition, just a sense of the bigger picture, and be able to make some informed decisions based on the bigger picture that you're seeing. So I just want to let you guys know about that. Hopefully that's helpful in case if anybody's had that same question of, is it okay to ever basically drift from the data? And I will say sometimes, not a lot of the time, it is okay to drift from the data and make some other decisions that are incorporating a few more factors than just the data that you're seeing on a keyword.
Hey everybody, it's Mike here. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. And as some of you may already know, the podcast isn't all that we do when it comes to Amazon. We actually spend the majority of our day working on building the best Amazon advertising tool we possibly can to help automate a lot of the concepts that we discuss during the show.
Yep, and we appreciate you as listeners. We'd love your feedback about our app. And if you're interested in giving our free trial a shot, just head on over to adbadger.com/podcast deal. That's adbadger.com/podcast deal. Thank you so much for the support, guys. We really do appreciate you, and we'll see you next episode.